Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Current Affair Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 4th May 2025. Displayed here are the list of articles that we will be discussing. The first article is about the Western disturbance. We know that the Western disturbance usually occurs during the time of winter, but this time it occurred in the summer and this caused heavy rainfall in the Delhi. And the second article is about Buddhism because recently the Andhra Pradesh Minister for Tourism and Culture and the Union Minister for Minority Affairs, they represented India in a Buddhist event in the that held in the Vietnam Buddhist University. So in this topic, we'll be discussing the basic facts about Buddhism. And the next article is about the shift in the global order. This article is taken from the Hindu editorial. And the next article is about fire, that is fire and smoke. That article is talking about a recent fire accident in a hotel in Calcutta. This article is also taken from the Hindu. So without much delay, let's get into the discussion. But before getting into the discussion, we have an important announcement. We have two important announcements from Shankar IAS Academy. The first is about the All India mock test. So the All India mock test will be held in the following days. The link for the registration is available in the website. Do register and attend the All India mock test. The second announcement is regarding Shankar's summary. So we have compiled important current affairs based on different subjects to help you with your prelims revision. So already two videos are uploaded on YouTube. Go and watch this video. We hope this will help you with your revision. So we have uploaded a summary for history and geography. Please do watch. And now it's time to begin our discussion with the first article. Storm in Delhi, floods in hill states, impact of climate change induced changing patterns of western disturbances. The article is taken from Indian Express. We know that on 2nd May, the national capital faced a sudden heavy rainfall and strong wind. And in this incident, nearly 4 people lost their life, including 3 children and 1 woman. And we know that 100 plus flights got delayed. 50 plus flights got diverted. And if you look the cause of the sudden heavy rainfall in the Delhi, we can see that it is caused due to western disturbance. And this sounds really unusual because the western disturbance mostly occurs during the time of winter, but this is summertime. And this is showing how the accelerated climate change is influencing or changing the current weather pattern. And we know that the last year, the World Meteorological Organization, they published the Asia State of Climate Report, which has suggested that the Asia, especially the South Asia, is becoming more vulnerable to extreme weather events such as cold wave, heat wave, drought, and cyclone. And these type of events are strengthening the findings in the report published by the World Meteorological Organization. So in this background, let us discuss more about the western disturbance from the prelims point of view. So what is western disturbance? We can simply say that western disturbance are nothing but extratropical storm. And this originates in the Mediterranean Sea. And after formation, this will move towards the east under the influence of the subtropical westerly jet stream. And on the way to the east, it will collect moisture from Persian Gulf, Red Sea, and Arabian Sea and gives precipitation in the form of rain in the plains and snow in higher altitude region such as Himalaya. So here you can see the route of the western disturbance. So it will be forming in the Mediterranean Sea, and after that, under the influence of the subtropical westerly jet stream, it will move towards the east, and on the way to the east, it will collect moisture and then gives rainfall in the plains and higher altitude. So coming to the major features of the western disturbance, they are a low pressure cyclone system formed due to frontogenesis. That means they originates when the warm air mass from the tropical region meets the cold air mass from the polar region, and this results in the formation of the low pressure cyclone system, and later it will move towards the east, and it gives rainfall in the plains and snowfall in the hills, and this can also result in sharp drop of the temperature in the region where it influences, and also results in formation of fog and cloud cover. This will significantly affect the visibility, and it is mostly active. That means the western disturbance mostly occurs during the time of winter, but it can also occur at any time. But because of the accelerated climate change, the events are increasing. And coming to the geographical impact of the western disturbance, we can see that the northwestern part of India will be affected with heavy rainfall. For example, the states like Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi and Uttar Pradesh will receive heavy rainfall, especially the western Uttar Pradesh. And the Himalayan regions like the states of Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir will receive heavy snowfall. And occasionally, not regularly, occasionally the central and the eastern India will also get affected because of the western disturbance. This western disturbance can also impact the Bangladesh and Nepal, but the intensity will be very less. So coming to the impact on the climate and the agricultural sector, we can see that it provides irrigation to the rabi crops. Rabi crops are nothing but winter crops, for example wheat and barley, and it helps the western disturbance. The rainfall brought by the western disturbance helps in maintaining the soil moisture during the time of winter. We know that during the time of winter, dryness will be recorded, but because of the influence of the western disturbance, it will bring rainfall and it will help in maintaining the soil moisture. And if the if it is going beyond a limit, then it can result in crop damage because of this heavy rainfall or snowfall, and sometimes it can also delay the sowing because of the heavy rainfall. And coming to the impact on the water resource, you can see that it supports the snowfall strengthens the glacier in the Himalayan regions. At the same time, it helps the rivers like Ganga, Yamuna and Indus to maintain a healthy flow, because it strengthens the glaciers in the higher altitude. Therefore, this glaciers will act as a source for water for major rivers like Ganga, Yamuna and Indus. Therefore, this western disturbance will support the glacier and the rivers, particularly the Himalayan rivers, and it helps in recharging the reservoirs. And also sometimes if the intensity is high, then it can also lead to flash flood, like in the case of Delhi. And coming to the impact on the weather and climate, we can see that the arrival of the western disturbance can result in formation of a condition like cold wave. And at the same time, the pre-monsoon showers, we know that the monsoon happens from June to September, but the pre-monsoon showers will help the farmers to go for early cropping. And sometimes this can also have a negative impact on the monsoon, because it can affect the onset of the monsoon. That means it can delay the Indian monsoon, because we know that to attract the the monsoon wind from the Indian Ocean, we need low pressure in the Indian subcontinent. But because of this western disturbance, it causes rainfall. Therefore, it will reduce the intensity of the low pressure formation. Therefore, it will delay the arrival of the monsoon. So that is one of the negative impact of the western disturbance on the monsoon onset. And coming to the certain positive and negative impact of the western disturbance, we can see that first we will see the positive impact. It can provide winter rainfall, which will be very useful for the agriculture sector. It will help in maintaining the soil moisture, and it will protect the glacier health, which means it will provide precipitation in the form of snow in the higher altitude, and this will help the healthy flow of the river, and it supports the agriculture, especially it will support the rabi crops. And coming to the negative impact, if it is going beyond a limit, it can bring a negative impact on the cropping. For example, intensified rainfall and flash flood can affect the agriculture sector. It can delay the monsoon because it will cool the Indian subcontinent. Therefore, it will slow down the intensification of the low pressure. Therefore, it will delay the arrival of the monsoon. And the next negative impact is flash floods. We know that if the air contains more moisture, then it will give more rainfall. So this can lead to flash flood. So coming to the recent finding, that is how the climate change is influencing the western disturbance. So it is increasing the frequency and the strength of the western disturbance. We know that mostly this western disturbance are recorded during the time of winter only, but now it is recorded even during the time of summer. Therefore, it is increasing the frequency. And the scientists have recently found that this increase in the frequency and the strength of the western disturbance is associated with the rising temperature in the global level, as well as in the Arabian Sea. We know that when the temperature increases, the capacity to hold more moisture in the atmosphere will also increase. If it is increasing continuously, it will definitely hit the saturation point. Once it hits the saturation point, then it will result into heavy rainfall. So that is happened here also. Therefore, we can expect more events like western disturbance and other extreme weather events because of this increasing temperature and the accelerated climate change. So we'll practice a prelims previous year question based on our discussion on western disturbance. So the question is, consider the following statements. Statement 1, in the world, tropical deserts occur along the western margins of the continent within the trade wind belt. Statement 2, in India, the eastern Himalayan region gets high rainfall from the northeast winds. Which of the statements above is or are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option D, neither 1 nor 2. See, here the correct answer is actually option A, 1 only. The most of the tropical deserts occurs along the western margins of the continent, because when the offshore winds reaches the western margins, it will lose its moisture. Therefore, the permanent drought-like conditions are mainly formed in the western parts of the continent. Therefore, the first statement is correct. And in India, the eastern Himalayan region gets high rainfall from the northeastern winds. No, because the northeast wind, actually the Himalayan region will act as a barrier. Therefore, we will not receive that much rainfall. So therefore, the statement 2 is incorrect and statement 1 is correct. Therefore, the answer is statement 1, that is option A, 1 only. Andhra Pradesh Minister Kandala Durgesh takes part in the ceremonial enshrinement of Buddhist relics in Vietnam. The article is taken from The Hindu. Recently, the Andhra Pradesh Minister for Tourism and Culture, Mr. Kandala Durgesh, along with the Union Minister for Minority Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, both ministers took part in the ceremonial enshrinement of Buddhist relics at the Vietnam Buddhist University. So we know that this will definitely strengthen the India-Vietnam soft relation, because the Buddhism originated in the Indian subcontinent only, and later it spread to the east. So in this background, let us discuss some of the important facts related to Buddhism from the prelims point of view. First, we will start with the Buddha. He was born in Lumbini in 563 BC. So not this year. This time the Magadha was ruled by the Haryanga dynasty. So no doubt Buddha was a contemporary to Bimbisara and Ajatashatru, and he belongs to the Kshatriyan clan known as Sakyan clan, and he had a horse. The name of the horse was Kantaka. And the next is first sermon. That is, if you take the life of Buddha, you can see important events like the great renunciation. It is a moment where Buddha left his royal family and power. And then next to that is the great enlightenment. It is a moment where Buddha attained enlightenment, and that happened in Bodh Gaya. And the third important event was the first sermon, or the speech delivered by Buddha in Saranath. And this event is also known as Dharma Chakra Pravartana, or turning the wheel of law. When he delivered the speech, he had 5 students. And the name of the students are given here. They are Kaudinya, Badriga, Vashpa, Mahanama, and Ashvajita. And the 3 jewels embraced under the Buddhism. So the Buddhism embraced this Triratna. And the factors of the Triratna, the first jewel itself is Buddha, that is the enlightened one. And the second is the teachings of Buddha, that is following the doctrines taught by Buddha. And the next is Sangha, that is a monastic order. So the Sangha was established by Buddha himself when he delivered the first speech in Saranath. And coming to the important Buddhist councils, we can see that the first Buddhist council was held in Rajgriha or Rajgir, and that was in the 483 BCE. And that time the king Ajatashatru of the Haryanga dynasty was ruling the Magadha, and it was presided by Mahakashyapa. And what was the purpose of this council? See, after the death of Buddha, there was a need for the compilation of the doctrines of Buddha. So the compilation of Vinaya Pitaka and the Sutta Pitaka happened in this first Buddhist council only. And Vinaya Pitaka was compiled by Ubali, while the Sutta Pitaka was compiled by Ananda. So coming to the second Buddhist council, that was held in Vaishali in 383 BCE. That is after 100 years, after the 100 years of first Buddhist council. And that time the king Kalashoga of the Shishanaga dynasty was the ruler of Magadha. And this meeting was presided by Sabakami. And the purpose of this meeting was to address the disputes of the Buddhist discipline. And the third Buddhist council was held in Padaliputra, and that was in the 250 BCE. And no doubt that time the ruler was the Mauryan ruler Ashoka. And that time the meeting was presided by Mugalippatta Tissa, and the outcome of this meeting was the compilation of the Abhidhamma Pitaka. So coming to the fourth Buddhist council, that was held in Kundalavana in Kashmir in the year 72 CE. And that time the ruler was the Kushan ruler Kanishka, and he is also known as the second Ashoka. And the meeting was presided by Vasumitra. And in this meeting, the Buddhism got split into Mahayana Buddhism and Hinayana Buddhism. Hinayana Buddhism followed the core principles of the Buddhism, while the Mahayana Buddhism followed the enhanced version of Buddhism. We can say that they had they worshipped idols, they worshipped the images of Buddha. And at the same time, the Mahayana Buddhism, they used Sanskrit, while the Hinayana Buddhism still used the traditional Buddhist language, that is the Pali. So coming to the significant places associated with Buddha, first is Lumbini, that is the birthplace of Buddha. Second is Bodh Gaya, the site of enlightenment. And the third is Sarnath, where he delivered the first sermon. And the next is Kushinagara, it is a place where Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana. And other important places related to Buddhism are Rajgriha or Rajgir, Vaishali, Savasti, and Nalanda. These are the centers of Buddhist teaching and monastic activities. So coming to the prelims practice question, the question is, consider the following with respect to Buddhism. Statement 1, Vinaya Sutta and Abhidhamma Pitaka, that when combined were called Tripitaka. And statement 2, all of the 3 Pitakas have been written in Pali language. And statement 3, 4 Buddhist councils were held to collate the Buddha's teachings into Pitakas. Which of the above statements are correct? Option A, 1 and 3 only. Option B, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 1 and 2 only. And option D, 1, 2 and 3. See, the correct answer is option D, 1, 2 and 3. All the 3 statements are correct. The Vinaya, Sutta and Abhidhamma Pitaka, these 3 Pitakas are combinedly known as 3 Pitakas are combinedly known as Tripitakas, and they are written in Pali language, no doubt. And the works on the 3 Pitakas happened in all the 4 Buddhist councils. So all the 3 statements are correct. Therefore, the correct option is option D, 1, 2 and 3 only. Now it's time to move to the next article. A profound shift in the global order. The article is taken from The Hindu, which is talking about a recent shift in the global order from a Western dominated system to a multipolar world. So let us discuss more about this article from the main point of view. So to understand about the present shift in the global order, we have to start from the year 1945. We know that the 1945, the year marked the end of the Second World War, and with the end of the Second World War, the world entered into a phase of bipolarism. That is, the world was dominated by two superpowers, that is United States of America and the USSR. And we know that this bipolar world also came to an end in the year 1991 with the fall of the Soviet Union, and there begins the multipolar world. The multipolar world was based on the principle that every nation will be sovereign in their own matter, and the multipolar economy was based on the principles of LPG, that is liberalization, globalization and privatization. And India also adopted these policies in the year 1991. So we can see that the world entered into the multipolar phase in the 90s, but still the systems or institutions established by the Western nations still controlled the global order. But in the recent times, the systems established by those Western nations are also losing their relevance, and this is very evident with with a few examples like the rise of India and China, and the strengthening of regional groupings like BRICS, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, ASEAN, etc. And they are playing a significant role in reshaping the global governance as well. So now the real question is how India is going to handle this global shift. We know that when the world was in the Cold War period, India adopted non-alignment principle to strengthen peace and harmony in the global level. But how we are going to handle this situation? And at the same time, we know that India is a crucial player because India is an emerging superpower. So definitely India has a great role in the coming in the emerging global order. So before that, we have to see what are the key characteristics of this emerging global order. First is the decline of the traditional multilateral institutions established by the Western nations, for example WTO, UN and the G7. And the next is rise of bilateralism and regionalism. That means if there is an issue between two nations, instead of taking that to a multilateral forum like the United Nations, the nations are willing to resolve the matter within themselves. And at the same time, we can also see that emergence of regionalism. For example, the BRICS plays a crucial role in addressing the voice of the global south. And ASEAN represents the Southeast Asia. And at the same time, the next feature is reordering the global value chain. We know that the China is considered as the manufacturing hub of the world, and but in the recent times, the business entities as well as the governments from different nations, they are considering a policy known as China plus one strategy. That is China plus another or alternative manufacturing hub, where India has a great opportunity because we know that we are a large nation with a huge population, especially with a good working population, right? So India has an opportunity here, but we need to reform a lot. And the next is greater voice for the global south. We know that recent times the Brazil, South Africa and India, they are addressing a lot of challenges faced by the world from, for example, human rights, climate change, etc. So coming to the strategic implication on India because of this global shift, you can see that India has to pursue the multi-alignment while maintaining strategic autonomy. That means we have to go for a non-alignment 2.0. Currently, we are following a non-alignment principle in a multipolar world. So here we have to enhance the policy to non-alignment 2.0 to maintain multi-alignment while maintaining strategic autonomy. And the next is India's role in the Indo-Pacific. We know that India is a member of the Quad. At the same time, India launched an initiative known as SAGAR, that is Security and Growth for All in the region. So this initiative was launched in the year 2015 to strengthen the relation between India and the nations in the Indian Ocean. But these days we can see that we have a strained relation between with the nations in the Indian Ocean. For example, the Chinese influence in Sri Lanka, the political crisis in Bangladesh, political crisis in Myanmar, and Maldives. Recently we had a political issue with the Myanmar, and Pakistan. Always we have difference of opinion with the Pakistan, and with the attack in the Kashmir, we can see that the further it deteriorated the Indo-Pak relation. And the next is a leading reform in acting as a leading reformer in global institutions. We know that India is advocating for changes, reforms in the Security Council, for example, expansion of the Security Council. At the same time, we are also advocating for a lot of reforms in the World Trade Organization. And the next is economic diplomacy and technology. We know that technology will decide the fate of a nation in the coming century. And here India has a great potential, but we have to utilize it. So here India can become an alternative to China if we take right reform. For example, we can reduce dependence on China For example, we can emerge as another manufacturing hub. We can diversify the trade relations. And the next is we have taken a lot of steps. For example, we have signed a free trade agreement with the European Union, UK, UAE, and Australia. And this free trade agreement covers vast sector from to critical minerals to technology. For example, recently India signed a free trade agreement with the European Union, and with this, we expanded the service of unified payment to European Union as well. And the next is indigenous growth in the semiconductor and digital infrastructure, etc. For example, the India developed the unified payment interference, and at the same time we are using Aadhaar for welfare policies, as well as we are using Aadhaar as an identity, and it is also storing the data of the the people. So this is a milestone in India's development in the digital governance. So at the same time, we can also see that India is also giving importance to semiconductors. For example, we launched the a lot of programs for technological development. For example, quantum mission of India. We in the last budget we launched the national manufacturing mission, and we can also see that we currently are in the PLI 2.0, that is production linked incentive program 2.0, so which is giving more importance to hardware industries. So India is giving a lot of importance. India has taken a lot of initiatives to develop the manufacturing of technologies. And what are the challenges before India? In spite of changing this shift in the global order. The first is a geopolitical tension with China and Pakistan. We know that Pakistan, we always have issues with Pakistan, and China, border issue with China. So the political tension with the China and Pakistan is a challenge. The next is need for internal reforms, especially regarding land, labor, and judiciary. So we know that we have to go for proper land management, and we need to strengthen the rights of the laborers. And at the same time, recently we can see that always since 1947 we have small issues between the parliament and judiciary because of a lot of difference in opinion. And the next is addressing problems like inequality, digital divide, and infrastructure gap. Inequality in the sense India is facing inequality in all aspects. For example, gender inequality, social inequality, economic inequality, inequalities between regions, and the infrastructure gap. For example, lack of infrastructure developments in certain regions, and the lack of infrastructure in remote and backward regions. We have to address this. And the next is digital divide. We know that the digital divide is very high between the urban area and the rural area. So this is a challenge for India's digital mission as well. So these are the challenges we need to address. So coming to the way forward, we can see that India has a potential. We have a potential because we have a great population. We are a large nation. We have vast amount of resource, but we have to channel it in a proper way. And therefore, for that, we need more investment in research and development, and we need to foster the academia-industry collaboration. We know that academia-industry collaboration is considered as one of the pillars to achieve the Vikasit Bharat 2047. And the next is deepening trade with the global south and institutionalizing India's development model. So deepening trade with the global south will give more voice, will give more strength to address the issues of the global south, and we can take leadership in regarding various issues like climate change, reforms in institutions like that. And the next is proactive climate leadership and focus on resilience. We know that the global south and the underdeveloped nations are more vulnerable to the issues associated with the climate change. Therefore, India can become more active. We have to be proactive in addressing the climate issues, and we have to focus on resilience in all aspects as well. With this, we will try a mains practice question. The question is, the global order is undergoing a profound transformation with the decline of traditional Western dominance and the emergence of new power centers. Discuss how this shift impacts India's strategic positioning and economic diplomacy. So it's a 15 marks question, and you have to write around 250 words. Write your answer, post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. Now it's time to move to the next article. Fire and smoke. The article is taken from The Hindu, which is talking about a recent fire accident in a hotel in Calcutta. So let us discuss more about this article from the mains point of view. First, we'll start with the status of fire accidents in India. So according to the Accidental Death and Suicides in India, this report was published in the year 2022 by the National Crime Record Bureau, and they found that over 7,435 deaths occurred in India in 7,500 fire accidents. And despite having past tragedies like Upar cinema fire accident, Kumbakonam school fire accident, and you can see that last year we had a Rajkot gaming zone fire accident, and last month we had an explosion in a firecracker manufacturing unit in Gujarat, which resulted into death of 20 plus workers, and most of the workers were migrant workers from the state of Madhya Pradesh. So despite having the past tragedies, the fire safety norms in India is still weak. And you can see that coming to the governance of the fire safety, the fire services are a state subject under the 12th schedule of the Constitution, and that too falls under as a municipal function. And as per the local circle survey, it is saying that 8 out of the 10 Indians say that their homes or workplace do not follow fire safety norms, and only 18% of the Indian households regularly check their fire equipment in their home, and only 27% of the workplace does this. And coming to the fire safety regulations in India, first we have this National Building Code, and this provides a central framework for building construction and fire safety. So what are the key features of this? First is classification of the building based on use and occupancy. And the next is this code mandates that the use of non-combustible materials for construction, for building construction. And the next is establishment of fire safety systems like fire detection, alarms, sprinklers, and proper exit route and sign. And the next is this building code mandates the use of electrical equipments that prevents or that will not intensify the fire accidents, and at the same time it also mandates the establishment of escape routes for buildings. And the next regulation we have is the Model Building Bylaws. It was brought in the year 2016. So it provides a uniform guidelines for states and union territories on urban building safety, and it is focusing on fire safety, sustainability, and the modern construction of the buildings. And it is aligned with the National Building Code to ensure quick and safe evacuation of the people in case if there is any accident. And the next is we have guidelines from the National Disaster Management Authority. So this guidelines helps the states in framing bylaws and fire norms. And this guidelines provides provisions for fire risk assessment, that is identifying the risk zone for of fire within buildings and premises. And the next is sector specific guidance. For example, it provides guidelines for hospitals, schools, and the public buildings. So in the hospitals we should have proper fire detention system and suppression system, especially in ICUs. And the next is in school we have to create awareness among the students in case how to escape in case if there is any fire accident. And for that we have to go for we have to conduct many mock fire drills. And the next is public building, that is equipping public building with the proper alarms, sprinklers, and the evacuation system in case if there is any fire accident. And coming to the challenges in fire safety, the first is non-uniform laws, that is uneven implementation of the National Building Code and the Model Code of and the Model Building Bylaw. And the next is outdated buildings that lacks modern fire safety equipments. And the next is increase in the number of high-rise buildings, and this will make the firefighting and the evacuation more complex. That means conducting rescue operations in this high-rise building will be very difficult. And the next is urban congestion. That will also complicate the rescue and firefighting. We know that because of this dense population, because of the increase in the density of the buildings, spreading fire from one public building to another building will be very easy. So that will complicate the rescue operation. And the next is funding gap, that is low investment in retrofitting older buildings. And the next is non-compliance, that is many buildings lack of fire NOCs and they ignore safety norms. For example, last month the firecracker manufacturing unit in the Gujarat exploded, right? And in this explosion nearly 20 plus workers lost their life. And you have to note that 2 days before the accident in the factory, the inspectors visited this factory unit, and they found that this unit was not following any safety norms, but still they didn't take any action. So such incidents are there. So this will intensify the problems like fire accidents. And example, this Rajkot gaming zone fire as well as Delhi fire, hospital fires. They are Rajkot gaming zone fire incident. That time the building did not have NOC. And the next is weak audit and enforcement. Like I mentioned in the case of the firecracker manufacturing unit in Gujarat, the inspectors inspected the factory 2 days before the accident, and they found that there are a lot of irregularities, but still they didn't take any action. And coming to the way forward, so what can be done? First is enforcement of uniform law, that is uniform enforcement of National Building Code across states. And the next is regular fire audits and the strict complaints checks. And the next is community awareness and training on fire safety. So this will help the people to rescue themselves in case if there is any fire accident. And the next is better staffing and resource for fire departments. And the next is promoting technology adoption and maintenance. And finally, the financial support for poor to implement fire safety measures. We know that only 18% of the households regularly checks their fire equipments, and you can see that 27 plus Indian households do not have any safety norms in their building construction. So we have to address all this. For that, we need proper financial resource. At the same time, we need to go for regular auditing and the strict implementation of the laws across states. So coming to the main question, the question is, urbanization has significantly increased the fire risk in India's high-rise buildings and the congested localities. Discuss the implications and the necessary safety interventions required to address these vulnerabilities. So this is a 15-mark question and you have to write around 250 words. Write the answer and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's current affair analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments and share this content with your friends. Before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to us. Have a nice day.